Bethiah Steer Callahan is our first interviewee. So welcome, Bethiah.
Thank you.
When were you here at school?
I started here in the fall of 1940 and graduated in 48.
Okay. So was there a kindergarten or
No,
was it
not
first
when
grade?
I went.
Okay.
There was there. Later there was.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Do you remember how long your school day was?
I believe we started at 8:30 and we finished at 3:30.
Wow. As a mother of, when my boys were young, I would have loved that 3:30 number. Most of the schools these days are out by 2:15, you know.
Well, we went home for an hour at noontime for lunch.
Okay, so lunch was at home. That was another question I was going to ask, what you did about lunch, if you bagged your lunch or...
If we were close to the school, we had to go home for lunch.
Oh, okay. Now what about, were there school buses that brought kids here?
When I found out I was going to do this, I remember my oldest brother drove his car as a school bus. Oh, and that was in 1940.
Oh, for heaven's
before
sakes.
he was drafted. And I looked it up in the town report, and he received $144 for doing it.
An annual salary?
I don't know if that was annual.
Probably was. It probably
I don't know.
Oh, isn't that fascinating? So would he go do you know how far away he went to pick up kids?
Well, of course, it was in Round Pond.
Right, right.
And if my memory is correct, and probably somebody else can correct me, I think they had to live a mile away from the school to be picked up.
Okay.
Other than that, you had to walk.
Oh, for heaven's sake. So in the winter, you walked?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. Snowshoes, anything like that
No.
you used? No, just walked?
Oh, yes.
In your big high galoshes, I'm sure, all bundled up.
Yeah, with ski pants and boots that went over my shoes. And
Was there any such thing as snow days?
No.
Okay, you went come hell or high water.
Oh, yes.
You went to school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I never remember a day off for snow.
Never. Do you remember big snowstorms? Or
Oh, yeah. Much more than we have now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even along the water here, there were
Oh, yes.
still.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Augusta, and I feel the same way. I think I can remember telling my kids about storms that you couldn't see out the first floor window. The snow was almost over there. And so that right behind me, everybody can't see it, but there's this wonderful old sled that I've heard tell that some kids took that from the Fairview farm. They would slide down to school. Is that a true story?
I have been known to do it.
Oh, all right. Okay, I wondered.
And not always that sled, but there was some others. And we used to slide down this hill and slide up the other one and then turn around and come back again.
Oh, what fun. Oh, that's great.
And the snow, of course, there weren't that many cars.
No.
The roads were snow covered.
Yeah, of course. Now, did you have, were there such a thing as after-school activities? Or right at 3:30, school closed and you left?
If we'd been good, we left. If we hadn't been good, we stayed, and the teacher gave us some extra work.
Oh, so there was a detention of sorts.
Well, she worked with children that needed extra help.
Oh, that's nice.
And nothing was planned as it is now.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
But
yeah.
we were always doing something after school.
Oh, that's neat. And were there sports involved here? There probably weren't any organized
Well, we played
teams
baseball down in the field, but that was
okay.
it wasn't always a baseball bat. It might have been a stick or something. Okay. But, I mean, I'm talking about the 40s.
Sure, of course. Anything would do at that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You could kick a ball around. It was fun. How big were the classes here? Do you remember?
Roughly 20 in each room.
20. Now, there was upstairs where we are right now,
Yes.
and then there was a classroom downstairs on the
Yes.
first floor.
Yes.
Now, was that divided by grades?
Yes, it was 1 through 4 downstairs and 5 through 8 upstairs.
Oh, okay. So there would be roughly 25 through 8 students. Okay.
I mean, 20, 22, 23.
Yeah.
It was
And one teacher on each floor?
Mm-hmm. One teacher.
Oh, wow.
No teacher's aides either. There
No,
was
I'm
one
sure
teacher.
she did it all.
One
Was it
teacher.
all women teachers?
I had one man during the war. Other than that, it was all women teachers.
Okay. All right. Well, I think these days there are more men teaching, and I think that's a good thing.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So boys and girls weren't separated in any way, were
No.
they? Okay.
No.
All right. And so during a school day, if you did act up or do something that wasn't correct, did you go to another room? Did you go in a corner? Did you have time out as they do now?
I really don't remember
Well, you must have been one of the good ones.
I really don't remember. We were kept after school if something needed.
But that was more to finish,
Yeah.
to finish.
And of course, back when I went to school, some people got a ruler on their hands.
Okay, that was another question I was thinking. Yep, I'm sure that worked well.
Yes.
Scared the rest of you.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
with me. So the teachers were friendly, but they were strict as well.
Yes, and they were good teachers.
Yeah,
We learned.
good. The good basics that
Yes.
everybody needs to learn.
Yes.
That's great. Do you remember a favorite teacher, maybe?
I had two favorite teachers. One was Ellen Francis and one was Hazell Gifford.
And do you remember what grades what?
Oh, yes, Ellen, Mrs. Francis taught for, must have been my 3rd and 4th grade, and Hazell Gifford taught most of the time while I was upstairs here.
Oh, okay, all right. Do you feel that it was great do you feel like you learned a lot because you had that continuing, the same group of people year after year and same teachers, so there was a familiarity?
I feel we were very fortunate because we had to learn to concentrate. There were 4 grades in the room.
Yeah.
And if you were a little bit on the smarter side, you picked up the grades ahead of you.
Okay, that makes sense. What kind of discipline was there other than the occasional?
Well, there was a lot.
Ruler.
There was a lot at home.
Of course, of course.
So, and if you got in trouble at school, you automatically were in trouble at home.
That would make sense. That would make sense. So, did you have a favorite subject that you remember?
I liked math and I liked history.
Yeah. Okay. Now, did you do anything with those after you left? 8th
No.
grade? No.
No. I still like history.
History's wonderful, and it'll always be there. So,
When we were in the 8th grade, we studied Maine history.
wonderful.
That's what we studied, was Maine history.
That's wonderful. That's so you probably still remember all of your
Oh, definitely.
counties, all your counties and your major rivers
And all of that, yes.
Exactly. That's great Maine history. I mean, there certainly is.
Yes.
You know, Round Pond's a big part of it. Speaking about living here in Round Pond in the summer. Now, did you go to school June
June through September.
June,
Yeah.
June, September,
Yeah.
you didn't
Yes.
go to
No.
school. So I don't know if they were called summer people that would arrive in Round Pond,
We had
but
a lot of them.
nowadays they're called summer people, and the true Round Ponders can't wait till they leave.
Oh, I won't say that.
Certainly anyone that makes money here is happy that they're here. But so did they impact you at all growing up? Were you aware of the summer people?
Oh, definitely, because my father had the store here, general store.
What store was that?
Bert Steer's general store.
And where was that located?
It was at the foot of the hill here.
Okay, all right.
And my mother had the dry goods store upstairs.
Oh, wonderful.
And my dad did anything to make a living, of course. And one thing he did, he would go to the train station and pick up the trunks, because people would come and spend all summer. And they would send their trunks by, their big steamer trunks, by train, and Dad would go up and pick them up and take them to
And
the
where was
cottages.
the train station?
Newcastle.
In Newcastle,
Yes.
okay. Now, summer people came by boat too, didn't they?
That was before.
That was before, okay, so
before
once
my
the
time.
train
Yeah, it was a
became-
train.
yeah.
And a lot of them came in cars, but they didn't bring their steamer trunks with
Yeah,
them.
of course. Oh, wow,
So-
that would be a job on itself.
Because they used to come, the wives and the children used to come, and then the husbands would come maybe for 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, okay, because they were staying back in Boston
Yeah,
working. Yeah. New York, probably
Yeah,
they came
yeah.
as far as New York. Yeah. Oh, that's very nice. Were there hotels here? in
No,
Round
when I was
Pond ever?
growing up.
No.
Oh, there was before.
there? Yeah.
In the early days, yes. There
Okay.
was the Morton House and the Prentice House.
Okay. And were they kind of the 1890s railroad hotels, as they called them, for these summer people? Or did
Yeah,
they
1890s into the
Yeah.
early 1900s. Yeah.
So what did you do in the summer when you weren't here at school?
I used to spend a lot of time with my dad in the store. My dad iced in the winter, and he delivered ice in the summer,
That's it.
because that was before a lot of people had electricity.
Of course.
So I would go with Dad while he delivered groceries from the store or took ice to the cottages or the homes too. And then I, of course, spent a lot of time at the shore. We all swam.
Of course.
We all did.
Yeah.
And I was friendly with some of the children that came here in the summertime.
Oh, that's
so.
nice. Did you maintain any of those friendships after?
Yes, I have.
Have you? So you still have?
Well, matter of fact, one this summer I saw. So.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So probably living in Round Pond, you didn't go on vacation anywhere. You just stayed here. I bet.
Vacation? You never heard of the word.
Yeah, no, exactly. These people were all on vacation, but...
We never heard of the word,
yeah.
no.
Well, you had the great opportunities, though, to work with both your parents, so that's
Yes,
nice.
I did.
A good way to
Yes.
learn. And you stayed here. Have you left? Have you ever
I was
lived
gone for
anywhere?
about a year and a half when we were first married, and
Okay.
then we came back.
And where did you move to then?
Oh, Waterville.
Okay, all right, not too far.
Actually, Vassalboro.
Vassal,
Yeah,
okay,
yes,
all right,
actually,
not too far then,
No,
huh?
no.
Well, that's great. Anything else? Have you got any stories that you can think of that maybe I haven't thought to ask you about? Maybe little stories that nobody else knows about Round Pond? Or any secrets you want to let us know?
Can't think of any, no.
Now, were your parents from Round Pond as well?
My mother was.
Okay.
My father grew up in England.
In England? How did they meet?
My dad came to this country when he was about 21 and ended up in Round Pond because his brother was here.
Oh.
And he came down to be in business with his brother because his brother wasn't a good businessman. So he met my mother, and he never did leave Round Pond. So.
Living here a short time that I have, I understand that. When you get here, you don't want to leave. There's no reason to leave.
Well, Dad used to tell us that he arrived in Round Pond with $125 and a bag of dirty clothes and never got enough money to leave. So,
but raised a beautiful family here.
he raised 4 of us.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
4 of us. So, your siblings are boys and girls? Or
I had
what?
2 brothers and a sister.
Okay, and they of course must have gone to school here as well.
Oh yes, yes, we all. They were older than I am, but they all went to school here.
Okay, and probably had the same teachers. I bet the teachers stayed here for a long time.
We had some of the same teachers.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah. The teachers, most of them stayed for quite a while. They did.
So, do you remember? Of course, you were here during World War I, but World War II, rather. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Sorry. World War II. Did that impact Round Pond?
Very much.
Yeah.
We had both of my brothers went in the service, and there were a lot of boys that went from here. And if my memory is right, and I may be wrong, somebody may correct me, there were 2 boys that were killed from here,
Really?
and 1 boy that got the Bronze Star.
Wow.
And of course, my mother and father, we were very concerned about my brothers being in the service, of course. I was young, but I think having 2 brothers in the service.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And from one family.
Mhm. Yeah, and I can remember the banner hanging in the window with the 2 blue stars.
Oh, is that what they would do? Is
Yes,
kind of
they'd hang
banner?
it. There was a banner, and how many boys you had, was a star, and if you lost one, it became a gold star.
Which still continues, the gold
Yes,
stars.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's nice. That's nice to hang that in the window. So there probably were quite a few of them hanging around.
Oh yes,
Pond.
there were, and my mother wrote to a lot of the boys.
Oh, that's nice.
And I still have quite a few of the emails that the boys sent back.
Wow, that's
That were in a
great.
scrapbook that
Sure.
she kept.
Oh, wonderful.
It was.
So when you were home, now after school, would you go right to the store, your mom and dad's store, or did you go home and
I
do
went
chores?
home. The house was right next
Yeah.
door. Oh,
and
yeah.
and what was a typical chore that you might have had?
Probably not as much as I should have had. But oh, we had to do dishes, and every Saturday morning we had to clean the house.
Yep.
And I do mean clean the house.
Yep.
My mother had braided rugs, and I hate braided rugs to this day.
That dirt gets right in between all
Yes.
those braids. They're so heavy to pick up and shake. Yeah.
And it was just never cooked. My mother was a great cook. And I never cooked. My sister didn't either.
So you're not a good cook, is that?
I am a good
Okay,
cook now.
some of it rubbed off, huh?
Well, I guess so. I have
Yeah.
a husband that liked to eat. So.
They do like to do that.
So.
Well, unless you can think of any wonderful stories you'd like to tell about school or growing up in Round Pond.
William told me I should tell this story. It was before I went to school. It was my oldest brother, the one that drove the school bus. He was, I think, 5th or 6th grade. I'm not sure which. And it just happened that our first cousin was a teacher that year. So my oldest brother came to school, and for some reason he decided he wasn't going to stay. He went home. And that was not all trees. It was a field and some trees. And we went down across the field to our home. And Merlin decided he was going home. So he went home. And he came in the back door, and he ran up the back stairs in the kitchen. And my mother's in the kitchen working. She looked, and Merlin went up the stairs, and she thought, what's going on? And a few minutes, the teacher came through the door, who happened to be our cousin and knew the house well. And she ran up the back stairs. And in a short time, my brother came down. Hazell had him by the cuff of the neck, and he brought him down the back stairs and marched him back to school, and my poor mother never said a word. Can you imagine a teacher running home?
No, that's wonderful.
And to my knowledge, he stayed in school. He never ran home again.
And you never found out why he ran home, why he needed to get home?
He just said he
didn't want to be there.
Just didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
Well, he went home. She brought him back.
Oh, isn't that funny? Probably by his ear.
Mother said by the cuff of the collar, and I guess he was hiding under the bed when she got to his bedroom.
For heaven's sakes. Well, that's a great story.
But that was, and of course she was our cousin, so she knew the house well.
Right.
But to my knowledge, he never ran away from school again.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you.